Nobody's listening, right?
Hi, Andy.
Hi.
Is anybody listening?
Man, I got really scared because I hadn't used this iPad, I think, since last week or something. So I opened it up and the podcast app was open and I went to it and I'm like, ooh, there's some new reviews. But then I was like, wait, I've read these reviews before.
Oh, boy.
It just hadn't refreshed. I had to back out of the app and then go back into our show. And sure enough, to my delight, a whole bevy of new reviews. But for a second there,
Oh, my God.
heart sank to the floor.
Yeah, it's tough stuff.
Thought we might have to throw in the towel.
I just want to take this opportunity to ask all of our amazing somebodies to please tell your friends about the show. Shout it from the rooftops, share it on social media, share it at Aunt Karen's barbecue, whatever you can do.
I think it's nice that you used Karen in a positive light just now, because Karens have had a real rough go of it lately.
Mm-hmm.
Unless you weren't. Were you saying share it with your annoying Aunt Karen?
I wasn't thinking about it either way.
But I think that's nice.
Okay.
This one's from Bree Hay. Still listening since first year teaching. So thrilled you both are back. I started listening when I was in my first year of teaching kindergarten, and you helped me get through it, and now I'm on my 12th year of teaching.
Oh, that's amazing.
It's been so fun listening through the years while experiencing getting married and having kids. Feels like home since you've been back.
Wow. Thank you also for we need our good teachers. So that's
incredible.
Extra special.
This one's from Mumsy9, one of my favorites. I love Andy and Elizabeth so much. I started listening to Totally Mommy, then Totally Lame. I was so sad when the podcast went away. I nearly unsubscribed, so you can imagine how excited I was to see a new episode in my feed a few months back. Please never stop making this podcast. You bring us somebody so much joy.
Aw.
I have more. I mean, there's more. Should I go more? Are
Yes.
you okay with more? This one's from Anna Marie, 620. Glad my old friends are back in my life. I'm an OG lamewad that discovered the show during my first year out of college when I was in a miserable job, and listening to the podcast made the workday better. Many years later, and I feel like I'm being reunited with my old friends to share what's been going on in life. Thanks for coming back. I'm also assuming from this that they're not in a miserable job anymore.
I hope not.
The subtext seems
yeah,
there.
it seems like they're past it.
Yeah, they didn't confirm, but it feels good.
Yeah.
This one's from PDX RN listener. I think that's a Portland situation. So glad Monica, shout out Monica, recommended this podcast. I've been binge listening and, in all caps, cannot stop. My favorite is when you both just laugh for 2 minutes straight. No actual content is needed. Brightens my day. It's funny you say that because we're going to make a YouTube channel of us just laughing on repeat. Like that.
I actually feel like not my own laugh, obviously that makes me cringe, but I would love to just watch people laughing. I think that's a great idea. After your Tickle YouTube channel, I think you should swing the pendulum back in the other way of balance between pure and devious and create a YouTube just
podcast?
laugh.
A laugh.
Giggle.
Giggle. I don't know what. Maybe. I'll think about it. Last review this week from Misfits Dogs. I'm so happy when Monica Padman mentioned your podcast as her favorite that I decided to give it a try.
Aww.
While she hit me here, you two convinced me in under a minute that I too love this pod. I'm not much of a reviewer, but wanted to show my support and say how much I enjoy your show. That means the world to me. We know it
takes time.
It's not
effort.
frictionless. Yeah,
it's not frictionless.
It's not frictionless.
To leave a review.
And so it means a lot. So anyways, shout out to everybody that's leaving a review.
And also I hate to sound like a broken record, but shout out to Monica. Just so
Seriously.
she didn't have to bring it up. She doesn't have to. And it overjoys my heart.
Yeah. It's crazy.
Every time.
It's crazy.
So a few updates.
Okay.
My agent Stephanie received the cuddle clones. I'm going to post an image of her dog Ruby with Ruby's clones. She said, and I quote, this is another big promo for cuddle clones. My favorite present I've ever received. I'm freaking out. Thank you so much. And then this is seriously the most thoughtful and coolest gift ever.
Whoa. Nailed it.
Nailed it. Good.
We had someone wrote in with like a question about cuddle clones. Do you remember that?
Oh, yes, I did.
Do you know the gist of it? And sorry that we can't read it verbatim because...
I can.
Oh, amazing.
Also, I wanted to give one other update. Multiple people reached out regarding our conversation last week and said for you to check out rejection sensitive dysphoria and ADHD.
Oh, yeah.
It's like a flagship. What's that called? What's the word I'm looking for? It's like a main part of ADHD for a lot of people.
Yeah.
It's a very common part of whatever ADHD is.
Yeah.
And what we were talking about for you,
yeah,
I think falls under that. So that's for other people to know.
Yeah, I watched like one video about it. It's really interesting and really resonates with me. But that's cool that people reached out.
Okay, I am trying to find this now, and I
think I remembered the gist. And forgive us because we're using our phones to record the video, so we can't look on our phones right now.
Mm-hmm.
But it was something like the listener had recently lost their dog.
Yeah.
Very sorry about that. And was kind of asking about cuddle clones in the sense of like, would it be weird if I got a cuddle clone of my dog that passed away? Or would it be an amazing to do? And it was kind of, I think, just opening up that discussion, which I thought was really interesting. Do you remember any more details, or is that kind of the basic?
Well, it was
thing?
that her husband was like, no fucking way.
Oh, okay.
Which I think we kind of talked about because you had asked me if it would be weird for you to make one of Ruby for me. Now, granted, she passed away almost 2 years ago, so very different situation. My heart goes out to this writer in her. I fully understand, like, when you lose your pet, I mean, it's interesting. There's a visceral, like, body sensation of aching to physically be near that pet or person you've lost. And I feel like it's part of, like, loss that, I don't know, I haven't heard a lot of people talk about. I think it's just so assumed because it's kind of the basis of the loss. That thing, person, pet you loved is not physically there anymore. Yeah. And so I totally understand desiring to have kind of a stand-in. But my feeling, in this case, if your husband were on board with it, I would say go for it. Yeah. Like, no. But because it sounds like for the husband, it would actually be kind of like hurtful in a weird way to have this other creature that looks like the thing that's not the dog. So my feeling is I would probably say not to do it because here's why. It's not that either of their feelings are more valid. It's not like I'm giving more weight to the husband's feelings, but it's that I know that having the stuffed animal and being able to hug it is not going to fill the void that you're hoping it will. Like, not, I know that the writer in her doesn't actually think like, but I almost feel like it would leave you even more frustrated in a weird way. Yeah. That you don't have your actual pet. Now, I think like down the road, if at this point we wanted a little stuffed replica of Ruby just to have as like a memory thing and it's not so tied to the losing her. Yeah. I understand.
It's almost like I could see, I think there's no right or wrong answer here.
Mm-hmm.
But like, I'm trying to think of scenarios where I could wrap my head around it for me personally. But it's almost like if we had, if our kids were a little younger and really into stuffed animals and we got a stuffed animal and was like, this one looks like one of our favorite dogs we ever had. Isn't that cool that we have this sweet little
Yes.
thing? And we wanted you to have it to play with, like, and it reminds us of this. Our favorite dog is
Yeah,
a
yeah.
very special stuffy that we're giving to you.
Right.
Like, that seems very sweet.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I think there's a lot of ways, but I also would imagine that this exact situation is maybe one of those selling points for cuddle clones, and I bet actually a lot of people do find some comfort in these. The other weird thing is, and I think I mentioned this last week, was the one thing that I have a hard bump with, which I think I mentioned with like us getting one of Ruby, is it just being confusing for our cat that's in the house.
Right.
Like, and your sister hit us.
Yeah.
She has a cuddle clone of their dog that's with us, and it's really, to me, it's hilarious because I'm like, is Luna confused about the cuddle clone, or is Luna like, this is the coolest shit ever?
Well, do you want to know what's funny about that? Is I didn't even realize that cuddle clones makes just stuffed animals.
Yeah, I think that's how it started. I think.
Okay, so I had forgotten that I knew that they had a stuffed animal replica of Luna that is so jarringly on point that when we go to stay with them for like Thanksgiving or whatever, sadly, as everyone probably knows, I'm incredibly allergic to dogs. It's like the biggest bummer of my body experience, which actually is, there are a lot of bummers stacking up right now. And so when we're there, I have to ask that Luna's not in the room that we're staying in, and like Anna Marie's really conscientious about keeping Luna out and cleaning it and stuff, so that when we stay overnight there, I'm not like wheezing. Well, last time we were there, we were staying in our nephew Wright's room, and Luna's cuddle clone was in there, and I kept going, "Oh, Luna!" Like I kept thinking it was her.
They're legit.
They're very legit. Anyway.
Cuddle clones.
Cuddle clones.
Maybe they're for you. If so, cuddleclones.com.
Yes.
I could get behind cuddle clones as if they wanted to sponsor us, I think.
Well, they have no need. We've already gone all the way with them. We've put out. They don't need to take us to dinner, you know. Hey.
Yeah.
Andy.
I feel like you're about to say something about my appearance for some reason. Oh, okay.
I do have something to talk to you about. Something though that happened this morning that I need to talk to you about. So your brother's in town.
Yes.
God love him.
Yeah.
And you guys went to see Duran Duran last night.
Yeah, did you it was a lot going on for that. It was an amazing night. But my brother's had a trip so far.
I've heard nothing.
Okay, well, anyways, go on. Maybe we'll circle back to that.
He told me something today. He and I went to get coffee and go for a walk.
I'm worried about what he told you, and now I'm going to have to reveal the thing that I want to tell you. This is a very interesting conversation right now, and you're going to find out why. You start, because listeners, this will all make sense, because if I jump in with what it is, and he had told you, I'm going to have questions, but just go on.
I don't think we're talking about the same thing.
I'm so nervous right now. And now I'm also like really nervous that you're going to be so annoyed that I'm going to share what I'm going to share that happened.
Oh my God. Okay.
But go on, you first.
This isn't something that happened. This is something that you talked about with him multiple times that I'm like, what is going on?
Okay.
Which is that he said that you, in all seriousness, have now twice or three times brought up to him that you want to, with him, next trip, kayak the LA River?
Oh, hell. You're going to be so mad at me. You're going to be so mad at me shortly. But let's be here for a minute.
Oh, boy.
Oh, fuck.
Okay.
I'm so stupid.
Why?
I'm so stupid. Because there's no way he would have ever told you the thing that I'm going to tell you.
Now I'm like...
It's fine. It's fine. But okay. Yes. Okay. So there is... I'm guessing there are a ragtag bunch of people that put on these LA River kayak tours. And I think there's like two outfitters, if you will. That's the right word from your days at like the Outdoor Pursuit Center, right? When you say outfitters.
I don't know.
It's a little disappointing, by the way, but there's like 2, I think, companies that do it.
Yeah.
And it's supposed to be really interesting and like wilder than you might imagine it is. And there's
I imagine it's wild.
And yeah, I want to do it.
Okay. I guess that there's like tours is a little interesting, but I feel like over the years I've read articles about like, do not like, what are people doing going into the LA River? That is the place that you get like diseases. You're going to come out of it with some weird like
staph infection.
Do not. And it especially was weird to me. Like, you're taking your brother up to our cabin tonight, where there's like nature, a beautiful lake where there's kayaking. I'm like, if you guys want to kayak together. And by the way, it's not like you're a big kayaker. You're not like a big kayak guy. I mean, you've gone on a few trips.
Kayaking recently.
On the lake?
Yeah.
Okay. But like, I would not. Kayaking is like so far down. When I think of you, if I were talking to someone about.
Okay.
I just, when he was like, Andy brought it up twice. Now, we get Matt for maybe 1 weekend a year.
Yeah.
And for that to be like the thing that you're talking about, I was like, I think he was fucking with you. I don't think there's any world where.
You told him I was fucking with him?
Yeah.
About No.
Because that's how outside of reality this seemed to me. I'm like, Andy's excited to kayak the LA River with you? I mean, it's like saying, I want to go in New York, like, we're going to put on wetsuits and swim the East River. Like,
which it would be an experience for sure.
But that's not you.
Okay.
And also, we don't need to get LA River water all over us.
Slow down. Let me just explain myself how this happened. We were driving.
Keep in mind, I'm about to be very mad at you for something that I don't know about yet.
That's true. We were driving to the Hollywood Bowl. And when you're driving, you might know the answer to this question. When you're driving on the 134, like through Burbank and where the like movie studios and stuff are, on the right side, there's like a man-made looking river thing, but I don't think that's LA River. Do you know what that long thing is? What is that thing?
I think that is LA River.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
I can look this up, but it goes like right through the Universal lot.
Yeah. It's like right there on the side of the highway too. Okay. So he was like, what is that? Is that the LA River? And I was like, I don't think that's the LA River. And then later that night, when we were driving home, we did indeed drive over the LA River in a section that I know. And I told him like, hey, they actually do kayak tours down it. And it's supposed to be pretty wild. And he was like, I would totally do that. And I was like, I would totally do that. And then we were like, we'll totally do that. That's how it happened.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So and if we need to cut any of this out, we can cut it out.
Okay.
I'm making a bigger deal than it is. It's probably no big deal. Anyways, we went to the Hollywood Bowl last night to see Duran Duran. Been long-time Duran Duran fans. Super excited.
Didn't you and I see Duran Duran?
Yes, we did at Madison Square Garden back in the day.
Yeah.
Get to the show, had no idea that Nile Rodgers of Chic fame and also like as a music producer, he's just legendary. He's worked on so much cool shit.
Yes.
He's opening for them. So it's like, what the fuck? Night's only going to get better. And sure enough, Nile Rodgers and Chic delivered. And then not only were they playing like the Chic hits, then they played like just hits that Nile Rodgers had a hand in making. So they're playing David Bowie, Let's Dance, Diana Ross, I'm Coming Out.
Oh, wow. How fun.
Hit after hit after hit after hit. And like there was a turning point. Because, for any opening band, that's like everyone's there to see Duran Duran, right?
Yes.
No matter how good you are, it's tricky, right?
Yeah, I do recall going to see 311 when I was in high school. And this annoying band opened for them. And I was like, ugh, come on. People seemed kind of into it, but I was so laser focused on.
Do you remember the name?
Yeah, it was No Doubt.
But anyways, Nile Rodgers, they about halfway through, you could feel the moment, and it's when the drummer started singing David Bowie's Let's Dance. you could feel the shift of the entire Hollywood Bowl, everyone up on their feet. And then like the second half hour of the show, I mean, it was like euphoria. And the band was, as you would expect from Nile Rodgers,
amazing,
incredible. And it sounded the best sounding thing I've ever heard at a concert.
That's what Matt was saying.
Unreal. Then Duran Duran played. I wish I could give them as stellar of a review as Nile Rodgers, but it was okay. The whole night was magical. It was raining a lot, which was pretty wild in LA. That doesn't really happen. So we had our ponchos on, had some characters around us, like sitting with us. It was good vibes. My brother had one unfortunate experience. So unfortunate that he literally said to me, like, I can't shake this. He went to the bathroom. And when he came back, I mean, it was the first thing he said. And granted, Duran Duran's playing, it's pouring rain. And he's like, I just saw something like I cannot unsee. And apparently he walked in and there was some gentleman at a urinal, I guess, but like standing far back from the urinal, like further back than you'd want to, and had shorts on, but the shorts were like down to like his knees, and had like the biggest dong my brother had ever seen. And my brother was like, it was in it, like none of it makes sense, like how the guy was standing, unless it was like he wanted people to see like the enormity.
Is it so long that he needs to stand back?
My brother described it more as it seemed like a girth thing. My brother kept saying like bratwurst, but the thing, and I'm sorry,
I think you're going to need to ask Matt if you can include this. And this is, where's the part where I'm going to get mad?
Just that I'm sharing this.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
But, and I do want to say one thing, that this was the thing that's like haunted my brother.
He said, I can't shake it.
He can't shake it. And it was like more at like how the guy had to hold his hand. So it was just like that.
Gross.
Yeah. And I think, unfortunately, I think we're having like amazing trip. I know my brother, this was an amazing concert. And I know you guys had like an amazing walk this morning and stuff.
He has had a very, you know what it makes me think?
Tell me.
A very LA trip. Like Matt's coming in from Boise. I'm guessing that's some sort of porn star who, you know.
What a beautiful twist you just gave this, actually. Yeah, it was a porn star.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if you're holding it like that, like Andy had his hand like cupping.
Not even cut like.
Yeah, that's cupping.
Okay.
You know, underneath the way you would hold like a delicate frail bird. Like,
yeah.
That's the care you give to your moneymaker, you know? And so, and probably standing far out to avoid any kind of backsplash or anything. This is his everything. And so
maybe being a little voyeuristic about it because you know what you got, and if
you
he's in the business, he's used to. He might not even register that it's on show.
Everyone's like, "There's Danny Dongle," and he's like, "You know what? If there's a fan of Danny Dongle in here, I want them to have a story." And so Matt saw that. Then Matt and I went on a walk today. And we ran into someone I knew from UCB back 20 years ago.
Okay.
I probably haven't seen this guy in like 15 years.
Okay.
He is an actor that you would recognize. Okay. In fact, Matt did.
Okay. Did you recognize him or did he recognize you? I
actually was like really smiling at his dog. And then I looked up and he was like, Elizabeth. And I was like, oh my gosh. And we, you know, initially it seemed like it was going to be like, how are you? And I was like, go about our way. But then I was like, I feel like it's been like 15 years or something. Yeah. And he was like, totally. He was like, how have they been for you on a scale of 1 to 10? And I was like, I'm going to give it a 9. And and then we just started talking, and I don't feel comfortable sharing exactly who it is for reasons I don't know why, but
he's in the biz.
I don't know. I think that but he was so lovely. And then he like locked in on Matt. That's why when we came back, I was like, Matt, tell Andy about this. And Matt's like, am I missing something? Like it was, to me, I was like, it was this magical interaction.
Oh no, it was from my brother too. He said that right when he walked in, I had a magical experience.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
You missed that part because he had already said it to me. And then he was like, I gotta go to the bathroom. I'll tell you in a minute.
Oh, okay. Well, then I'm actually a little bit more confused because
I didn't realize that was it all came together for me. Anyways, go on.
Okay, but this actor was asking Matt where he's from, and I will say your brother has a very like gentle, kind, loving aura.
Yeah.
And this guy locked right into that, and in fact by the end said as much to him.
Yeah.
Like, I'm really glad I met you.
Wow.
Yeah. It was awesome. But then we walked away and I was like, that was cool. And then Matt was like, is he on? And then said the TV show. And I was like, yep. And he's like, oh my gosh. And I'm just like, Matt is having this Los Angeles experience.
Yeah.
You go to the Hollywood Bowl, iconic. You see Danny Dongle,
iconic.
Chance of a lifetime. You go to La Mill and get a coffee, very LA.
Fun.
You go walk the reservoir. How many celebrities have done that? And whatever. You're talking afterlife with your sister-in-law. You're talking Reiki. You're talking all of this.
Wow.
Very LA. You run into this actor who compliments you on your loving energy.
Wow.
Then you walk away and go, oh yeah, that's that really funny guy on this TV show. I mean, what else can we do for Matt?
That's incredible. I'm hopefully going to get on a paddleboard with him or next to him.
Kayak?
I'm going to try a paddleboard, but I've kayaked within the last month. I'll have you know.
At the lake.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
But yeah, okay. So I think I love how you're framing all of this, and it is a trip to remember for my brother. I think I'm a little jealous of his aura and like your aura too. Because
this actor did say something very nice to me. Can I share it?
Is it going to upset me?
Why would it upset you that someone said something nice to me?
Because I'm talking about my jealousy of your guys' auras right now.
Oh, okay. I don't know.
Okay,
Let me put it out there.
Yeah,
We'll see if you can handle it. Because so UCB, just for context, you know this obviously, and he remembered you, by the way.
Who is this man? This is crazy.
I know.
Wait, how would he? That makes no sense, but go on. This is crazy.
He did. He remembered you because, whatever.
Aura?
I can get to maybe, but so UCB back in the day, it was mostly just improv teams.
Okay.
Right. And then occasionally shows.
Yeah.
So my first entry in was a one-woman show there. I didn't start on an improv team. In fact, I never got on an improv team, although I do remember auditioning, and it was with like these now people. I'm like, well, no wonder I didn't get on. It was with like Darcy Carden. But I had a one-woman show there. I was so lucky.
Yeah.
And I knew it at the time. Remember when I got my run? I was like,
cool.
It was probably one of the best moments of my life. So I was around all these incredibly talented people, but I was never like in the mix the way they were. And these people kind of lived and breathed this theater and were there all the time. And I would kind of come in and come out, but I made some really great friends over the years. And then later I did get on a sketch team, which was different from the improv teams. But this guy was very young.
Okay.
And I always felt like, I don't know, I don't even want to go into whatever, but he did say, I never really got to know you super well, but I always really liked you. And it always was like, oh, good. I'm glad she's here, which was very nice.
That's the sweetest.
I know.
Wow.
Especially looking back on that. I mean, it wasn't like, I don't want to paint a picture of like I was sad or anything there. I always felt included and people were very kind and friendly and warm, but I did always feel like a bit of an outsider, which I was, because I wasn't like in the mix the way many people are.
To validate what you're saying, I totally hear what you're saying. And I also think in addition of that, I think your probably perspective of it is very kind of honest and real. But I think that whole community, especially at that time, I think there were probably people that were much, much more immersed in that community that still had anxiety about, am I part of this? Am I like,
100%.
It was as great and probably welcoming as it was probably just as competitive. And like, those scenes are tricky no matter what. Is all
Yeah,
I'm
and
trying to
what
say.
God, looking back on that time is so interesting because, and I want to get back to you and your aura and stuff.
Oh, sure. No worries.
But it was such a pure time, but I kind of am grateful that I wasn't so in the mix, because I do think that then it starts to pull in like weird politics. And for people who are like, what is this? What are you talking about? This was a theater that, Matt Besser, Matt Walsh, Amy Poehler, and Ian Roberts created, and was like a hub of improv in New York. However, at the time, it was like this disgusting theater that had like a grocery store on top of it. It was like leaking water. It was not like fancy at all. There was no industry coming. It wasn't like people were coming to scout talent. We all just were trying to make each other laugh, which is something that I don't even think exists right now in our country in comedy, except maybe in other cities. Like in LA and New York now, it's almost like you can't find that, which at the time was frustrating. We wished there were people. If there was like an intern from MTV, we all were like, oh my God, so crazy. But the people who were there, I mean, it was like Paul Scheer, Adam Pally, Jason Mantzoukas, Lennon Parham, Ellie Kemper. It was almost everyone I was with now is working. It is fucking crazy. And I really think it's because we all, like, there was a tenacity and a kind of insanity to putting so much energy into something that you're not getting paid for. We all had other jobs, obviously.
Yeah.
And sticking with it.
Yeah.
When there was no real hope for it turning into anything.
Yeah.
It was like everyone who was there did it because we couldn't not do it. And so I think that that's why everyone was so successful. I mean, truly, I can think of a handful of people who aren't working now.
But I think what's interesting, I almost think that you might have a little bit rose-colored glasses on, because I think that these scenes, that was such a magical time. I think before that you've heard of like Second City in Chicago being a breeding ground for all these big stars.
Yes.
In LA, the Groundlings at one point. But I think that and like the number of people that have come out of UCB is staggering.
I keep thinking, I'm like, Dan Gregor, Rachel Bloom. It's like
it's
all
crazy.
Of these people.
But I would say what I'm saying rose-colored glasses is I think that you would probably be astonished by the amount of people that went through those doors that didn't also.
Yeah, maybe.
But and I'm not trying to discount how like it is unbelievable and was like such a special movement.
It was.
But I'm trying to highlight that those things though are socially loaded too at those times, right? Like,
yes. Well, what I was just thinking is, I mean, this was kind of my MO in high school too.
Yeah, totally.
Is I was never in the like super popular group, but I was liked by them and I was invited to some of those parties.
Yeah.
I feel like it was friendly to everyone. Like I had close friends, but I was never so invested in the politics, the social politics, that it really affected me in a major way. I never got wrapped up in all of the like whatever the drama was or insecurities about social stuff.
Yeah.
And I'm really glad for that. I mean, I think back to that time, maybe a little part of me wished I was more in the popular group at different times, but it just wasn't enough of a priority. And I'm now like so glad. I think that would have had a really negative impact on my experience.
I think it's very, very high school, middle school, cliquey.
And I think there were people who were really immersed in the theater who had like, when people did start, getting commercials and things like that, the jealousy kicked in, who liked who was hanging out with who more, who was getting on what team.
Yeah.
All of that stuff passed me by. And so I do think I look back, I know that there are people of my peers from that time at UCB that are like, think it was toxic. I look at it and I'm like, it was I can see the toxic parts, but to me, I was like, it was glorious. And it's one of those things in life where at the time, I think it was a frustration thinking like, what are we all doing here? We're spending so much time and energy and whatever. The only thing keeping us going is like watching our peers and being like, holy shit, that's so funny. You're a genius, whatever. Then, and wanting to match that.
Yeah.
Like, I wanted to make those people laugh.
Mm-hmm.
And when I did, it was like everything. But there was definitely a sense of like, I want to be an actor. And nothing we're doing here seems to be a pipeline to that coming true, except for the like few people who maybe get commercials or the golden goose who gets on SNL.
Yeah.
And I feel like we were just very lucky to be able to fuck up a lot. I feel bad for people who are out in LA doing comedy now. I almost feel like that doesn't exist because in your audience, they're going to be junior agents and managers and stuff. Like, we had no one. So we could make mistakes and learn from them and experiment. And it was wonderful.
But I think I think everything you said is so spot on and amazing. And I think the one thing to also consider is like, it's not like that's not happening now. It must be bubbling up in different ways, but maybe it's not as community oriented anymore. Maybe it's much more video oriented and stuff. Like it's changed, but there is another crop of early 20-year-olds out there right now.
But I think it's online.
Yeah.
And I think that putting something online, like, and also I think, thank God, people are much more conscientious now. I mean, I'm sure there's so much stuff. I know for a fact there was stuff back then that I would like cringe to the core that even I did. I don't know what they are. I'm not thinking about specific things, but there was offensive shit happening. There was, that, not to say that that's good, but I also do think that there's much less grace for people to make mistakes, to experiment, to push the envelope, because when you're putting something online, like, that lives forever.
Yeah.
We were very lucky that we could do it and it wouldn't be, there was no documentation of it.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
We, last night after the show, I drove back all the way on Franklin past, that UCB is not there anymore, right?
Well, I think UCB is done.
Oh, okay. So, but anyways, I guess the first UCB in LA, not the first UCB ever, but the first outpost in LA, was on the street called Franklin. And remember that restaurant La Poubelle?
Yes.
But we drove by last night. It's raining, and that outside sidewalk was just packed with like 20-year-olds. And I was like, oh man, that takes me back.
Yeah, I do love that.
That gave me very fond memories of like going there after your shows and getting drunk, and but just seeing all these 20-year-olds doing that. I was like, oh, that was fucking cool.
That was really fun.
Yeah.
I also do like seeing this actor and like thinking back to that time. Also in LA, I did a bunch of shows at the UCB there. I feel so lucky to have been around really funny, talented, like genius level talented people.
Yeah.
Who made me strive to be better. And I don't think I'm in that echelon at all, but there are people that I'm like, it's similar to when you see like amazing artwork and you have that feeling of like, wow.
Yeah.
Or a phenomenal like thing out in nature that you're just like, oh my God, I feel like I got to see that a lot. And it was the work of people, which I feel very lucky that I got to be around.
Yeah.
Your aura.
Yes. So I'm jealous of, like, my brother has this kind aura. You have this quality that literally just everybody likes you when they meet you.
That is not true.
Very true.
No.
Okay, I'll let you defend yourself in a second. But
I'm not defending myself.
I wanted you to defend yourself of why that's not true. But, and also, like, I would say, listen, all right, good luck defending this. You're so likable that, like, it can be a liability for me to introduce you to people because they'll like you more than me. Like I might have a friend. Do you know what I mean? And then you kind of steal the sun. Do you know what I mean?
That is so nice, Andy, but I think that you are out of your mind.
Out of my mind. Well, okay, so but I'll say this. I think my aura, I don't know how like welcoming of an aura I have, and I think over the years I was much sillier as a young kid, which I think people really liked. But now I'm an older man, and I'm pretty serious older man, I would say.
Well, it's like we just were talking about when your mom, you married me, and then a few years into our marriage, your mom was like, "What's happened? Your light's gone out. Your flame's been snuffed." Looking at me, you know, you were silly and goofy, and I would also say, I mean, it's interesting now with this ADHD diagnosis. Yeah. Reckless.
Yeah.
And kind of what's that called when you're like thrill seeking? I mean, you would do stuff that it's like kind of amazing you're still with us.
Yeah, no impulse control. It's funny, right. All that stuff adds up. And so honestly, if you can I think my what is it? Starting to sit into being calmer or more serious. I think you can directly relate that to as I got older and older and older, I started needing and wanting much more control, sort of. I realized that smoking weed was not good for me. I realized that getting super wasted wasn't good for me. I use the example all the time of mapping out how I'm going to walk through the grocery store. Like I started needing so much more control. Some of it manifested as like OCD type stuff, but I think that's why my nature now is not as similar to when I was much more reckless and like crazy.
Yeah.
Because I crave
control,
keeping things from spinning out of control. Yeah. But I sometimes wonder, and I think I do have very good rapport, and I think I'm fun professionally. I think I'm fun to be around and work with. But I wonder, I bet a lot of people when you first meet me are kind of like, is he a dick?
I think, here's what I think.
Yeah.
I really think it's how we're catching you. And I also think it's what your perception of the other person is.
Okay.
Because what I will say is if you don't vibe with someone or if you kind of think someone else is a dick.
Yeah.
I don't
put a branch out. I don't extend my hand.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. Like I can tell. I'm like, okay. When you though are comfortable and like the people you're with.
Yeah.
You are, and I would say, like you said, sometimes my friendliness or kind of my need to be liked is a liability and I might come in a little hot and you're so authentic. You're not phony at all that I feel like when people feel like they share in a liking exchange with you, it's so meaningful and so wonderful.
That's very sweet.
And I want to just quote someone who listens to this podcast, who I'm friends with and I'm obsessed with, texted me. Gotta say, Andy's laugh is one of my all-time favorites. It's to the point where I seek it out to boost my mood.
That's really warms my heart.
You have something that I would say you're more discerning and like releasing your joy. But when you do, I think it's much more meaningful. Whereas I'm just like foisting it upon everything all the time, everywhere.
Listen, but if we can blow smoke up each other's ass a little bit more.
This is fun.
You still, though, it is like it really is a little infuriating. It seems like it's effortless with you. Like I would love to talk to somebody that has beef with you and just be like,
people.
But I would love to be like, how do you have beef? Like you're so misguided. And is it because you're just jealous of the
Do you know who I'm thinking of who has beef with me?
I would love to know. I can't think of
No.
anyone that would have beef with you.
There's someone, well, I don't know if they have beef with me, but there's someone that like we were close friends and are no longer. I think actually, given what we were just talking about, I think you know who this person is.
You're believing a lot in my memory right now.
UCB.
Oh, no, I think maybe I know who you're talking about, and I don't think that qualifies at all.
Okay.
But we'll get in. But before I lose my train of thought, or are you going to lose your train of thought?
No, go.
Oh, no. Oh, okay. Can you remember the experience? Maybe it was in middle school, maybe it was in high school, of discovering the self-awareness that like, oh, wow, there's times where my friends are probably talking shit about me. Because you have that moment where like we're all in high school or middle school talking shit about our friends, right? And like so-and-so's dating so-and-so and like, give me a fucking break. Why are they bitching about that? Like, just imagine you talking shit probably about close friends with your other close friends, right?
Yes.
But I can like remember the experience of being like, oh yeah, other people talk shit about me. And having the thought like, oh yeah, they probably really talk shit about me sometimes. And I even think about it in some of my relationships now that I can just imagine like people talking shit about me. And maybe it's
okay. You're losing me.
Yeah.
You think people now are talking shit about you?
Sure.
Well, I mean, I'm sure that there are people talking shit about me like at work and stuff, you know, but that's just part of the course. Like assistants should talk shit about their bosses or whatever.
Of course.
Yes.
But do you know what I mean? Like I'm trying to do this in a way that people can relate, because I think this could be relatable for a lot of people.
Okay.
Just think of like some of the little things that bother you about your friends, people you love. Okay?
Yeah.
That might annoy the shit out of you.
Yeah.
And then maybe you bitch about it to like your spouse or something, right? They're doing the same thing about me.
Yeah.
I don't think about you.
Oh, that's hilarious. No,
but that's what I'm saying.
Of course they are. Of course they are. But it goes back to that's okay.
No,
like,
totally.
All of us have things that we don't like about ourselves. In fact, I've really, really been struggling with something.
Okay.
I am concerned that the way I sometimes talk to specifically our oldest kid.
Okay.
Because our youngest kid, I can kind of snap at him and it just rolls off his back.
Yeah.
But especially with, I will give an example.
Okay.
The other day, our kid wanted a mango to be cut. And I'm like, okay. I didn't feel like doing it. And I also, this goes to, I mean, I don't want our kids using sharp knives, but also like, I do feel like a little bit that we're in territory of like, we're catering to our kids a little too much and we could encourage a little more independence.
Yeah.
But I'm like, okay, I'll get up and cut this fucking mango.
Yeah.
But not like that. I'm like, sure.
You were like, cut this fucking mango.
No. Okay. I'm like, sure.
Yeah.
Cut the mango. They want it cut in a certain way.
That's a cool way you cut it, by the way.
You know, you do the crosshatch mango sides and then
it's like a turtle
they kind
shell.
of flip it, the turtle shell, exactly. And
or dinosaur.
Eat the chunks, dinosaur. So I'm watching our kid kind of then sucking on the chunks. And I'm like, honey, just bite it. Like, just eat it. And I don't know why I fucking cared.
Yeah.
But I just stopped what I was doing to cut this thing. And then I'm watching them like do this weird sucking, like almost like reverting to baby.
Sure.
And I'm like, just eat it. And they're like, I'm trying. And I'm like, just bite into it.
Yeah.
And why am I so annoyed? And I can hear my tone of voice.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, honey, we got to go. Also, oh yeah, that was the other thing. We're like, of course we're against the clock.
Trying to go to school or something, right?
Trying to go to school. Yeah. We got to go. So just go for it. And then I watch them plop the whole thing without having even taken a real bite of it into the trash.
Yeah.
And I'm like, honey, why'd you do that? I could have put that in your lunch. Like, that's really wasteful. And then when I said that, it was as though I had slapped her.
Mm.
You know, that like, why did you do that?
Yeah.
Kind of, and I can hear myself, and I hate this tone of voice, and I feel like I have it a lot, and I have it regarding things being clean or not organized, or like, why is this here? Like that tone.
Yeah.
I hate it, and I cannot control it. And I'm worried that that's going to be the interior voice of our kids, especially the very sensitive kid going, what is wrong with you? I don't say that. I've never said that, but it's that tone.
But it's weird. I think there's a really interesting example because like, I'm like, why the fuck did you do that? Like, right? Like, and you should learn that, like, why'd you do that? Like, it's like that. There's nothing wrong with that. It's almost like the mama cat, like, knocking the kitten, or like, like taking the food out of its mouth or
I
something.
know, but I'm like, there must be a better way, but it's also like the better way takes time and kind of an inner strength that I don't have, where you're like, hey, honey, I just want to walk you through this. Like, I just stopped what I was doing to cut this for you, which, I love you. I like to do things for you. I took the time. Then, I want you to eat it, and then you threw it away, which makes me feel sad. And also it's wasteful.
Right. I mean,
instead of going, what are you doing?
No, but that's great. But the other way is much more real life. And like, I mean, listen, it's funny. If there were like, some old timers listening to the show right now, they'd be like, you guys are soft. Like you being worried about like the reprimand you're talking about for dropping it.
Yeah.
Is like, they're like, what is wrong with you?
Well, that's the kind of thing but I'm bringing this up to say, this is a side of me I don't like. It's kind of, and just to say, I feel like people talking shit about people, as long as it's not really mean-spirited or what they're like focused on, or they're only whatever, is just common human. I mean, if you're talking to your safe person about something and you're working through your own feelings regarding it, I think that's totally fine.
Yeah.
I feel like I know for a fact that people do that about me.
Yeah.
And
I'm never, I want to be clear too, of like, even having that realization. I can remember the feeling of having that realization as a young person and being like, like I understand the world more now.
Yes.
But I'm not ever in my head about that. I'm not losing any sleep about it. I just think it's like fascinating, the reality of it. Like,
yeah.
But also in the context of you, though, I think you're sailing through the world in a way,
no,
in a very nice way that I don't think you're. I think people like you. I guess that's all I'm trying to say.
Wow. Well, this has been wonderful.
I thought it was. What was that wonderful?
Oh, no, it has.
Oh, okay. It seemed a little sarcastic for a minute.
It feels a little bit like self-indulgent of us just to have been like how... I'm actually kind of like uncomfortable with how nice you've been. But,
Have I been? I guess I have been nice.
Yes.
Okay. Do you want me to take you down a peg
or
two?
What's the thing you like you dislike most about me? I think I know.
Tell me.
I think sometimes when we're in conflict, I get like a face or like...
Oh, yeah, you do have... Yeah, okay. That's fun. I like that. That's fun. That's a good answer, but I wouldn't put it on my... What would you... We should give a name for that face. Is that what you're talking about? Like a face?
Like a... It's not self-righteous, but it's like a...
Dismissive?
Patronizing, probably.
Patronizing. Yeah, that's fun.
I think that's tough for you.
Yeah, but that's not... I'm trying to think of like...
That's not the one.
I thought I was... When you posed that question, I was thinking more of like not fun, but like just something that like grinds my gears that you do. I'll really have to think about it. I know you don't like me farting in the middle of the night.
Yes. I mean, It's like saying, like, I know you don't like moldy food. It's like, yeah, obviously I don't. Yeah, we don't need to go down this slippery slope.
Maybe, okay, I have an idea.
Okay.
Assignment for this week, homework for each of us.
Okay.
Let's write down a list of 10 things that annoy us about each other, and then we'll read them next episode.
No.
Okay.
Bad idea. Oh, I was going to say this. Running into this guy from back in the day was really joyful to me. Like, I don't know, feeling connected to that time, even having this conversation with you, like reflecting on that time is a good reminder. And him meeting Matt and reading Matt so clearly right out the gate, like, I think it's a good reminder of, oh, this is perfect.
Okay.
I went to my neurosurgeon this week because my back's all fucked up again. And her at Cedars in this neurosurgery thing, there's like on all of the screens when it's sleeping, it's like, please be mindful of the energy that you're bringing into this space.
Whoa, no way.
Which I'm like, we need more of that. Please be mindful of the energy you are bringing into the space. And that's kind of what I'm talking about with the tone with our kids. Like, I want to be more mindful of the energy, and I think we all can do that. We're all walking around with our own shit. Also having grace for others. Like, you never know what someone's going through.
Yes.
And so if you can bring good energy, if you're having a day or a moment in your life where you can bring good energy into a space, we should all try to do that.
I think I don't know if it's just a getting older thing, but what you're talking about of like, I hardly ever make assumptions about other people now because I'm always like, I got fucking shit going on. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you have no idea. Like,
you have no idea.
I give people so much more space out in the world, strangers. You know, I can bite. I can try to shame the person in Target talking on their speakerphone. Not my best moment, but like I'm not assuming as much about people.
Yes, that's good.
That's a good lesson.
Yeah. So for everyone who enjoyed this episode, come check us out on Instagram at Nobody's Listening Right. We post fun video clips. I have no idea what this episode will be.
Yeah, that's tricky.
And also, if you want to support us on Patreon, it's patreon.com/totallylame. There are different tiers depending on what you can contribute. And
we're going to be 1,000 episodes backlog, right?
Yes. And we're going to be putting up. Oh, and I just realized someone reached out to me and was like, I can't find the Dax Shepard, Monica Padman episode. I can't find the Chelsea Devontis episode. There were like 80 episodes that we did. I didn't remember this. Like, we actually had kind of rebooted Totally Lame.
Yeah.
That I hadn't put up. So those are back on Patreon.
Nice.
So if there's anything you were missing, those are there. Just search in the search bar for Monica Padman and you'll find those episodes, or the one that she's on. And what else? Leave iTunes feedback would be awesome.
Love it.
And then we kind of teased out this big episode that we're doing to reveal why we stopped podcasting.
Yeah.
And the more we do on it, the more we realize it's bigger than we think it is. And so it's going to be a minute. And I know people were intrigued. I think it'll be worth the wait.
Yeah, it'll be super interesting.
We haven't forgotten about that.
Yeah,
we're working
not
on
at
it.
all. Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Thanks. Good night.
Nighty. Shh.